Okay. So is going on? So is everything fine? I hope everything works fine. Going on. So is everything fine? I hope everything works fine. Going on. Okay. So hi Devin. Let me just see if this is working. If when I change thumb. Something is not working correctly for me. So can you see now? Okay, now it's good, I think. Okay. Okay, everything is good, I think. Hi, David. Hi, Devin. Hi, Mtakats. Hi, Lukas. Hi, Tarell. Very glad that you're here. Yeah, I had some troubles on the studio dashboard. It just was the board without anything, so I just skipped to the YouTube directly, and it seems that it's working fine. So okay, I can see the chat. Hi Thinkbox, hi Lukas again. So okay, let's see, now we have 14 viewers. Maybe someone can challenge me, and we'll just wait then more viewers to come. If you agree, maybe someone could challenge me to a game or something. So just wait then. Because I've set up this stream a little bit earlier, and I really wanted to everything to be good, so I decided to make at least 10 minutes earlier so everyone can join. Okay, then I'm gonna just play. If no one, we have a challenger, I think. We have Kale Homi. Okay, very good. We're playing now against Kale Homi. Gonna go d4 just to warm up a little bit. Yeah, let's go knight f3. That's something that I like. I'm not sure what books they use to train people in Russia. I think they're very good books, whatever they use. Because although we'll give that a take back. Oh man, that's not possible. He played king to f8, and I cannot make this take back. So I'm gonna kick away his bishop. Okay, this bishop is going to get trapped, and we have talked about these problems about the bishops in an early stage of the game in my video 3 of this series. So you see, this bishop can be really an object of our attack, so it's not a problem that black is now lost. It's very important, I think, that we're meeting these topics, especially in beginners games, because these things happened to me too when I started to play chess. My bishop got trapped many times. So we have talked about this in video number 3. So we're gonna just take even this one. So this is really a problem now. Okay, we don't have to lose anything here, just retreat. Still the bishop is hanging. Okay, now we're gonna take. Okay, and now, I don't know, fast development. Let's go, I don't know, e3. Developing bishop, castling, playing healthy chess, so okay. Let's just develop. I'm a little bit, yeah, black gave up now 2 pieces. It's not a good position, of course, but we're gonna just play for fun. And okay, let's castle. Yeah, and it's really unbelievable. That's why I started this, because I think many of us fall into this bishop traps, especially in the beginning when we're starting to play chess. So should I search here for clarification? Noah's Ark. Okay, so what are we doing here? Where to go? Actually, I don't mind if he plays c4, but I would love maybe here to at least liberate my bishop. Yeah, sorry, Devin. So at least we have now a new activity for our bishop. I don't care what's going on here. Even if c4, we're just gonna retreat. Then he weakens d6, e5. So I don't know, maybe get a new better activity for our knight. The queen needs improvement, so maybe, I don't know. Let's go h4. Then oh, when you started as black, your bishop gets trapped. Yeah, because in the Nimzo you have to make a decision when to really give up the bishop for the knight. It's not an easy decision sometimes in the Nimzo. Sometimes your opponent doesn't challenge you immediately, and you love, of course, after the move bishop to b4, after a3, you love to... look, Tyrell, it's not, I think it's not such a problem when, because I think every opening has really much theory, so it's just for you to decide which one you're gonna choose. But you have to have a repertoire, I think, and so okay. Here we have the problems. Yeah, we can take out this one. Is that good? I'm not even sure. That's not good. Queen d5, then I could be hanging. But we could do it like this. Okay, what to do here? Let's go. Or should we play f4? Yeah, I'm a little bit blocked. Let's go f4. Yeah, in my opinion, the Nimzo is perfectly fine because you can make a normal game in the beginning and there are these lines, there are the same-ish variation, the normal variation, then the Kasparov variation. So yeah, I have created this Nimzo series, but maybe we can do the Nimzo also on stream. What do you think about that? We could make the Nimzo. Very nice counter attack. Very nice counter attack. But we'll accept the challenge. Have an open F file. Okay, he can play this check. Yeah, Nimzo stream and maybe should we take now what? Let's do it. So first the check. Check is always good. Maybe even with the knight was better, but I'm not sure. With some discovered attacks, but okay. Yeah, the King's Indian has more theory, I think. Yeah, the King's Indian has more sidelines, has many more, much more attacking possibilities for white. There is, I don't know, Grigorich Taimanov system, Mahagonov. There is 4-pawn attack, semish attack. There is, and you have to find really then a response. I think the Nimzo is much better because you're playing this setup, the same setup many times. So oh yeah, so should we concentrate at all? We can take the bishop, we can let's go here, check, has to move here, then this knight comes. Maybe we can checkmate him with 2 knights and a rook. Let's deflect his queen from the defense. Some bishop. And check here, check here, check here. Oh, it's checkmate after. Yeah, Ragozin is a similar idea. It's a little bit more aggressive, but Ragozin is also good, I think. The Ragozin is perfectly fine. I like to play the King's Indian because I'm simply used to it, but it's not, in my opinion, the best response to d4. So okay, the queen is hanging. We're gonna take the queen. Okay, what did you know? Maybe something like this. G6, bishop to G6. Okay. Okay. So we can start then. Is it fine with you? It's now, let me see, it's 13:39, so we give now 10 minutes everyone to join the stream. And I've analyzed again some of your games. So as I said, you can still send me some of your games now on Yozarov at gmail.com, and just let me know in the chat. Yeah, sorry, Devin. So if you want to maybe get your game analyzed here on stream, just write it down on and send me on email, yozarov at gmail.com. Just let me know in the chat that you sent me so I can check it out on my Gmail. So I have already examples that you sent me, which are again very good. Again, it's very cool that your examples are meeting the idea that we wanted to study today. So that's very cool. In our previous video it happened also with the problems of knights, now with the problems of queens. Yeah, it's okay, you can send me even 10 if you like, but I sorted out, I think, that games that should be here on stream. So hi Deboer, you're not one of these De Boer brothers that used to play football for Netherlands, the twin brothers? You're not one of them, maybe? Just kidding. Okay. Okay, let's start now with the problems of queens. We have talked about in our first video about good setups, in chess. So yeah, I'm sure you're from Netherlands. Okay, so we have talked about these setups in chess openings. We want to have these 3 stages. I'm repeating again, repetition is always important, so maybe someone is joining us here for the first time on stream. So setups are very important. So we have talked about in the opening we want to create these 3 stages, of course developing all minor pieces, securing the king by castling, and also maneuver the queen from the first rank and get a rook connection. These are the 3 stages. So sometimes we have troubles to do this because the queen in an early stage of the game you should avoid to play, because the queen, although it's the best attacking piece, of course, can be an object of your opponent's attack. Your opponent can create some tempi, can create some activity by attacking your queen, and that's very bad. Sometimes we would love, of course, to play actively with the queen, but sometimes it's not possible. I wanted to show you that in I have made this at home. So here it's I played simply e4 e5, and then I let here simply the next move. I just played the next moves by the most often played line here that I found in the database. So I just played the most often played move in chess history. So when we watch now, I just wanted to point you out that the moves with the queen are not so early. So the queen can play sometimes very early, but again you have to some kind of a meaning, because if you play with your queen, the queen has to come out with a tempo, or the queen has to come out somehow active with a threat. Sometimes it's not even a problem to stay with your queen on the starting square, because the queen on d1 here, it after a couple more moves, the queen has always good activities. Don't worry about your queen's activity in the beginning, because the queen will always find a way into the game. I think what you shouldn't do is just let your queen getting attacked by your opponent. And as I said, I just wanted to show you that in the most often played line of the Ruy Lopez, the queen, for instance, in one particular game gets out in move 18. So we haven't played with the queen, so you have to first, of course, develop the minor pieces. So I just played the most often line here from the database. So rook to e1, we have b5, d6. So you see white is not playing with the queen here, h3, bishop to c2, now d4. This is now again the most often played. I just played here the continuation, here knight to b3, we have bishop to e3, we have a4, knight to d2, and now rook to c1. You see, again, white played many moves with other pieces. Again, first getting the rook's activity. The queen has always a great potential. The queen will find a way, as I said, in the game. And now after queen to b7, it was now in move 18 that white moved the queen to the second rank. And again, we have talked about this idea. So here we have again a similar, it's not the same of course, but again white has finished the 3 stages of the opening, has now secured the king by castling, has developed all minor pieces, has moved the queen from the first rank, and has a rook connection. So here it's a good setup. It is of course an equal game. White didn't gain here maybe an advantage, but I think it's a good setup here to start from, and now we should go and find a good strategy for the middle game. So that's very important. So you see, if we would have played somewhere with the queen very early, then the queen could get trapped, and that's exactly what happened in one game. It was now recently played by Teimur Ajabov against Danil Dubov. And you see now the first question here is this activity of the queen, of black's queen, is this a good activity? So we have talked about the queen can be an object of our opponent's attack if we get the queen too early, or if we get the queen somewhere where the queen could get attacked by the minor pieces. And you see now the queen on e4, it seems to me that it's really on a weird square. So what could we do here in order to undermine the pressure and again mess up a little bit the queen's activity? So find now the best next move. This ideas when the queen is really weird, when you feel the queen is weird, it's really should be also sort of a trigger for you, and it should be also sort of a pattern to recognize in middle games. Okay, I'm giving you as much as you want time, it's not a problem. Yeah, first try to step or two to take advantage in the start. Yeah. Okay, we have now the idea, knight to g5, knight g5, d5, d5, locking queen out. So we're just waiting. Someone asked that we should make it a little bit slower. Knight g5, queen gets on b7. Okay. I mean, here is a great example because the possibility of white here is not that the queen can get trapped, but as I said, we can create at least some kind of an activity, you know, because the queen is really weird here, you know. So we're just waiting 1 more minute and then we'll make knight g4, rook to e3. Again the queen can move, again the queen can move. Knight, yeah, knight g5 is even checkmate. Yeah, queen to h1, but just want to, okay. So okay, we have someone has answered the question here. It's the move d5, and it's not that this move is trapping the queen, but you see now Danil Dubov should have played here knight to g4, simply counter-attacking the queen after the move d5, and he played now the move b5. So now what to do now? Let's further, you see the queen is weird here, the queen is on a dangerous place. Let's find now the best next move. Again, we should consider where the queen can escape, what are the squares. So d5 was very good. So okay, it's not that it's a decisive advantage, but we have to recognize this queen's problems as a pattern in rook e3. Okay, rook e3 can be met with queen to f5. And now suddenly maybe our rook can be an object of the attack. So okay, it's an equal game still. So first preventing. Again, we're trying to lock the queen further. Taking out the next square. It's not so easy maybe to see, but we should, as I said, just queen h3 could be a possibility, but it leads now into a possible queen to g4 line where maybe are forced to trade off the queen. So let's take further squares. Yeah, very good. h3, h3. And here you see now this move h3 forces really now black to escape. The only move that can help out here is the move queen to f5, and you have to get out of this mess. You have to get out of the potential attack. But you see now that was all possible because the queen was really weird here, and you have to be careful with your queen. When the queen can be locked, the queen can be really an object of the attack. And yeah, the h3 move, not that it only prevents knight to g4, it also prevents queen to g4. So now you see Daniil Dubov played here a huge blunder. He has to now lose another tempo, queen to f5, and escape with the queen. After the move rook to b8, what now? Let's take a new square out for the queen. So see, this is top grandmaster level. This is really, but what I wanted to here to notice is the weird queen's position. So the queen is unnatural here. Knight g5. Okay, again queen to h1. Yeah, David Killer said very good g4. And you see now this is really bad for the queen. This is really. So how can black g4? Very good, guys. So how can black now? Let's see. Knight. You cannot move the knight on h4. You get checkmated in one. So how can black now prevent this queen to get trapped? How can black now escape from this mess? It cannot escape because it's then a weaker position, but he has only one move, not g5. G5 will simply take with the queen, and yeah, e5. Very good by David. But now after d takes e6, we have queen to e6. We have now a new position in which what does black have here now? What kind of a problem, what kind of a new problem does black have here? What's the next problem now in the game? What is the next really positional problem? Yeah, giving up the knight on g4 is not good. H takes g4, queen to g4, and you cannot create further checks. The queen doesn't have support. Very good. Weak d6 pawn. And you see now that's the whole point of this example. So you see the endangered queen situation led into new attacking possibilities for white. Evaluation is much better now for white. White is left now with an backward pawn, has a weak d5 square. The problem is now that we can also build the battery. Queen to f4 is now a possibility. So we have now a completely clear strategy here for white. White has now, I think, a calm game. White doesn't have to calculate so much. White doesn't have to even, because this was a rapid game, White doesn't have to even spend time. The next couple of moves you can choose: rook to f1, rook to d, queen to f4, rook to d1, simply attacking this weakness, and now black suddenly gets passive. But that was really a really weird decision by Daniil Dubov. He got his queen locked here, and as I said, playing with the queen is not so good here. Let's go back a couple more moves back. Here, Daniil Dubov doesn't have to go with the queen. He can play c takes d4, here knight to d4. Then you see it's a perfect position. It's not, nothing dramatically is going on. The queen is perfectly fine. It's an equal game. We have still opportunities maybe to break the position with b5. Even after b5, black is even slightly better. So here Daniil Dubov is simply an attacker, and he loves to play really this attacking moves. This complicated moves. He tried to sneak in with the queen, but didn't gain anything. You see, Teimur Radjabov really slowed down his pace. d5, h3, locking him g4. You know, and now Daniil Dubov lost the game. So it's really, yeah, it's Radjabov Dubov. Yeah, it's, I think, a great example how this is really about decision making. You see, you can go into normal lines, unequal lines. Daniil Dubov is not simply a player like that. He likes to complicate things and got punished because of that. He got his queen really on a weird square. After he takes d5, d takes e6, and queen to e6, queen to f4. Here, rook to e3. You see now knight to g5. Here it's a perfect harmony. Here d5, you have to even give up here the pawn, but now the queen gets again endangered here. Knight to e4 here, knight to f6 is of course always a serious threat. So let's find now a new idea here for black, for white, pardon me. What's the next best move here for white? Okay. Hi, Mike is here. Mike, good morning. Probably it's some around I don't know, maybe 7 a.m. in Canada. So what's the best next move for white? Yeah, rook c4, very good. Rook c4 is getting a pawn, and from this point on, Daniil Dubov was lost. He tried rook to b1, king h2. Here, nothing is going on. Here, you can play maybe one check, but the king can escape. Very nice and calm game by Teimur Radjabov, and that's exactly what he did in this tournament. He outplayed Daniil Dubov by playing calm games, but by not complicating things too much. He played really an outstanding tournament. So you see, this is a position of one of my games, and here is, you see, again, black tried an early queen move in the opening. A better idea is here something to play knight to c6, simply developing minor pieces. Queen gets out here. So is now this idea to take the pawn on b2 a good idea? Can black take out the pawn on b2? And this pawn on b2 is many times called the poison pawn, and there are lines in the Najdorf, for instance, in which the poison pawn variation is playable for both sides. So what white is doing in that kind of a opening is to give up the pawn on b2 for a huge piece activity. So it's now, yeah, this was a Barry attack. Yeah, it was a Barry attack. Yeah. So it's no knight to b5 after here. Let's see, knight to b5. What happens if knight to b5? and play bishop to f5. Okay, still it's bad, but knight to c7, but there is a clearer way. Yeah, here Fadhel said, yeah, queen b2, knight to a4 traps the queen. So see, so there are many lines, as in particular in this similar structures, where black will attack your b2 pawn, or if you're black, you will try to attack the b2 pawn. I'm just pointing out here that we're talking about the problems of queens. The poison pawn variation, the poison pawn b2, you have to always calculate if it's a possibility. You have to calculate the moves. Do I have an escape route? Do I have maybe a counterattack possibility? You know, it's simple as that. Please don't get trapped, don't get your queen trapped around the square b2. The same thing can happen also for white if white goes for b7. So that's just something that you have to consider in your own games. As I said, these are the problems of queens. This is now our subject. So I could now show you millions and millions of examples about how the queen gets trapped around the square b2, but I just wanted to point this out because I think there are many beginners, they don't know this stuff. They don't know these problems around the square b2. Do you agree? So I just wanted you sometimes to take your time when you see there is this tension around the square b2. And also for white here, for white, it's very important to maybe not to play rook to b1. We want to stay maybe with the rook. We can play a line a3, we're preparing b4, and then we want to play maybe knight to a4 and then cement our knight on c5. So okay, so that's why it's very important now maybe here not to retreat. So here it's, I think, a very good example. So when we're placing the queen in an opening, we want to place the queen where the queen could have an activity, but the queen is like the queen, wherever you place the queen, it will have some kind of an activity because it's an active piece. But when we're developing, we're trying to get the queen on a secure square at first. So here I've especially placed here the queen on c2 because many times you see maybe a rook here on the c file, and at least we have protected. Let's see now from white's perspective. I just want you to be creative now. When the rook is on c8 here, where could we maybe remaneuver the queen to stay actively with the queen? Let's just imagine, let's, as I said, just be creative. Here the rook is on c8. We want now to maneuver the queen because there is maybe a threat of knight to d4 or knight to b4. Where to maneuver the queen to stay active, to get to hide a little bit with the queen, but without losing the queen's activity? Where could you maybe now place the queen? Where could we go with the queen? Let's find now good square. To get out of the c-file mess, for instance, we are threatened on the c-file. We want to stay active with our queen. We want to have still our rook connection. Let's find now a new square for our queen. Just be creative a little bit. As I said, it's not a setup position. Will come now in the next example, so that's why I wanted to ask you first here. Where could you maybe place the queen to stay active? Just imagine with this position with many pieces. Yeah, queen b1, very good. So you see, we could maybe go with our queen here. Still, if we have a perfect position, we haven't lost any of the activity. The queen is still hitting something like here on h7, you know. Yeah, keeping queen d2, the queen can again maybe be endangered on the d file. So the point about this example is that the queen can be even somehow you will have to escape with the queen to a1, but in the beginning it's very important the queen not to be endangered. That's the whole point. So the queen can sometimes even go here to a3, can go somewhere here. Just move out with the queen, stay active with your with your minor pieces and with your rooks. And then when something changes, because your opponent cannot maybe stay through the whole game here with his rook on c8, he has to maybe make a competition, then the queen, that's the point, the queen will find a way into the game. So here I found really, and I've used, as I said, I've used many of these examples of this basics in chess series. If you're familiar with my channel, I've created this basics in, yeah, it's still sheltered, yeah. It's a great play by Jan Krzysztof Duda, and it's, I think, a great example. Here he played an early queen move. It's still a main line of the English opening. It's still an aggressive way. Here knight to b6, d4. We'll come now to the part here, queen to a3, and that's the point. He played here the queen on a square where the queen can maybe be attacked, but the queen will still have a great activity. So that's the, he still has a very nice piece activity. He only needs now to play e3, bishop to e2, and castle. Let's see now what happens if you play knight to c4. What happens if you attack so you have to be careful. As I said, we need now yeah, these are fundamental concepts. So you see, queen b4 could be a possibility. Yeah, very good. It's perfectly fine. We're counter-attacking. So you see, queen a4, then maybe c6, now e4, maybe hitting d5, but knight to b2 could happen. Okay, after c6, e3, knight takes b2, queen b4, knight c4 maybe, and there is a problem. So maybe queen b6 here for black, queen takes b6, a takes b6, and now rook to b1. We can maybe hit these pawns. So as I said, but the cool part about this game by Jan Krzysztof Duda, he played the queen on really weird square. The queen will find a way. As I said, you'll see now how Jan Krzysztof Duda will improve the activity of his queen. So he played e3. Now knight to c4 is not a possibility anymore. He played rook to d1. You see, with the problems of queens here. That's also a question where to place our rooks, because it's obvious that black would love to crack the position, would like to break here with the move c5, but then the queen could endanger it. So you see, this is very important. And still, I think Jan Krzysztof Duda now, Jan Krzysztof Duda's queen is secured. As we talked now in the first example, the queen can even come to a1, to b1, to a3. The queen will find a good way in the later stage of the game to come into the game, but it was now very important to first get our other pieces active. The queen is now out of game, but you'll see how great Jan Krzysztof Duda will get the queen into the game. We have c6, knight to g5, attacking the bishop. We have bishop to f5, e4. We have bishop to g4, bishop to e2, here knight to e2, and here after queen to e8. Look at this now. That's the whole point of this. Oh, thank you for joining my membership, the board. So you see now, here queen to h3, and that's the whole point of this particular example. You see, the queen was an a3, but the queen is a long-range piece. The queen will find a way. Don't worry about the queen. Worry just about the queen in the beginning if the queen is going to be trapped. Queen to h3, and you see now it's a whole new story for the queen. The queen is now suddenly the best attacking piece in one move. You know? And as we said, first Jan Krzysztof Duda escaped with his queen, stayed there, activated his pieces first. getting the queens, getting a nice rook activity, getting a nice bishop's activity, getting a nice knight's activity. That's more important to play the queen. That's the whole point. I hope, do you understand what I'm trying to say, or is it too fast? Okay, there is a delay because between the stream and our chat, of course. So see, only in one move, the whole activity of the queen has improved. Now it was suddenly the best piece on the board, and that's the whole point. So it's, let's now skip to an example of one of my followers here that sent me some games. Okay. This was, I think, this was an example, I think, by Joshua Grant. Is Joshua here? Let me see the chat. I'm not sure if Joshua Grant is here. So, okay, maybe Joshua couldn't join our stream. I cannot really make it happen for everyone in the world. I just trying to be sort of +6 hours and -6 hours range, sort of, that we can also have reviewers from India, from USA, from Europe, from Africa. I don't care. So yeah, and you see now, it was very cool that Joshua sent me this example, because it will meet exactly with this idea. Here Joshua played an outstanding game. It was really a natural game in the London system, battling for the e5, the common strategy of the London system. We have queen to a4, rook to c8, castling, a6, bishop takes, removing the defender, always the defender of the e5 square. That's very important in the London. Bishop to d6, and we have now a very nice outpost. But now comes the move b5, and here is actually the position where things got wrong for Joshua. So I'm not sure what Joshua's rating is, but let's find now a new square for the queen. Let's, as I said, we have finished now the 3 stages. The king is secured, the minor pieces, let's go back, the 3 stages of the opening. So the king is secured, we have developed all of our minor pieces, and also we have the rook connection. Oh, I messed things up. I deleted accidentally. That I'm gonna make it again. Sorry. I'm just going to Gmail and I'll find the game. Sorry. There are many tabs that I have. Okay, we have here. Let's Joshua Grant. Okay. Bishop f4. Okay, very cool. Okay. So we had this position. Yeah. After b5, we have here queen to a3. Very good, guys. So queen to a3, and it's actually the suggested move by the end. So the queen is of course not good here, but at least the queen is not endangered. So let's see now what happens. Let's see if black tries here to move b4 to break the position. Then queen to a4, you see, we have a counterattack, and so at least for a while, the queen is perfectly fine. Then we could even try some b4 ideas, cementing our knight further, because we have now, yeah, queen a3, knight, but as I said, first queen security, first don't let the queen become an object of your opponent's attack, and then go on our main strategy, because probably the main strategy of the London would be then to support further the knight, maybe play something like b4, b4 here, battling on the c file, getting maybe another knight here in order to support. But first, again, black has to lose another tempo, black has to lose time to develop. And here, unfortunately, Joshua played queen to c2. He tried to have, as we said, this three stages of the opening. He tried to get rook connection, but suddenly his queen became an object of the attack, and he lost decisive time, because still it's about an equal position. But here, after move queen to h3, the position is much better for white. So after queen to c2, we've talked about, we're searching for squares that are secure for the queen, where the queen cannot be attacked by minor pieces, rook activities on files, like you saw in the young Krzysztof Duda example. The queen on a3 will not stay there forever. We can maybe shift it somewhere. Queen to queen to h3, queen to a5. Maybe get the queen on new squares. The queen, don't worry, will find ways. So here, after the move queen to c2, the game become really wild, because Joshua made now a huge blunder. He tried now here to counterattack with knight to c6, but his opponent found great moves here. e3, you see, he got punished. Now the knight is hanging here, took another pawn, although white is up the exchange, but things could have been, I think, much better after the potential move queen to h3. Do you agree? So he got into tactical problems because he didn't secure the queen. So maybe this was a blitz game and he wanted to grab the rook on c6 and had really trouble. So do you understand what I'm trying to say? So this, first the queen security, then when the position is a little bit solved, when we can apply our main strategies of the game, then the queen will find a way. Don't worry about the queen. So okay, we have here now a game played by Zigber Tarash against Amos Byrne. Yeah, and also sometimes we cannot find this next best move. Sometimes it's not possible. But then at least I think Joshua should have retreated here to d1 in the beginning. At least black is not getting a tempo. If he wants to, for instance, if you cannot get, pardon me, let's go bishop to d1 is not possible. Yeah, queen b3 is also, then you get the new attacking possibilities. So as I said, at least somewhere where the queen cannot be attacked. So queen to h3 may seems like a strange move, but it's actually the best move. The rook has to move. Let's see the possible continuation. Rook to c7, and now f3, kicking away the bishop. Bishop to f5 maybe, and now knight to b3. Yeah, wins the game, I think, because you cannot compete anymore. Knight d7, we simply take, and then knight to c5. If b4 now, c takes b4, you see we're taking. Yeah, very unpleasant game here for black. Okay, yeah, so here's a gameplay by Zigber Tarash against Amos Byrne, and the problem is again this one. First of all, we have now an example of the queen getting too crowded. The queen will be really surrounded by many minor pieces, and that's also another way how to develop your queen, how to move your queen. Here in the game, bishop to e8 was played by Amos Byrne, and you see now, what do you really love this queen now on f8? It's really a bad queen. After knight to h4, here knight to g5 was played, and find now the best next move. Find now the best next move here for actually the bishop on b5 is sort of a main line of the London, battling simply for the e5 square. Yeah, okay, there is d3. So what's the next best move now for... Yeah, knight g6. Very good, Mike. Very cool. So see, the queen, Amos Byrne could have played with the queen wherever he wants to play, and especially he shouldn't have, he should never stay with the queen on the f file. There is probably, even if you don't get this tactical shot, probably you will get punished somewhere on the f file. So it's very important to get the queen out of the range of minor pieces. So in this particular case, of course, white has a much better position, white has a better activity, but even if the queen would be somewhere here on b7, it doesn't matter. Even if the queen is here on a7, it's not a problem, at least in the beginning, you know. Then we have to solve first our problems here somewhere, and now after move knight to g6, black got punished and resigned the game immediately. It's really incredible. So here it's a game in the Benoni, and that's exactly, here's an example of a good queen move. After d takes c5, queen to a5. So what do you think about this move? At least we're threatening something. What's the threat? So although we're getting out with the queen in the early stage of the game, at least we're threatening. So let's see what happens if d takes d6 happens. What would you play now? Yeah, knight e4. So white can maybe counterattack with d takes e7, then we can play rook to e8, and still I think this is a messy position. After castling, we'll simply take out b takes c3, and now maybe knight to c6 even before, because we want to grab now this pawn. These are weaknesses. So I think you see now this pawn, this pawn, this pawn, 4 pawns that we can simply attack. Black has at least equalized the game. So there are examples, as I said, in which the queen move is perfectly fine, in which the queen will find a way, but here I think queen to a5 is perfectly fine. The queen, after castling, we can take, and maybe the queen can get attacked, even like here. But the problem is now white has to take care of also of the e4 square. So now it's time to develop. Simply play a6, bishop to maybe d7, bishop to g4, and we would have again a good setup. So when the point about this example is when we're playing with the queen in an early stage of the game, at least it has to be active. At least we're creating something, we're creating some threats. Otherwise, just placing the queen because we have maybe created one check and we got blocked out by the bishop or something, then we lose some tempo. It's not good here. Okay, here's an example played here with white pieces by the legendary Rashid Nejmedinov against Alexander Ivanovich Konstantinov. Here Rashid tried c3, and after bishop takes c3, b takes c3, queen to c3, what to do now? Let's find the best next move for white. So what would be the best continuation here for white? It's not something that you should resign. There is one move. King f2 is not good. We'll simply take knight c2, maybe queen c3. Let's find better move. We have talked about this problems of queen. King f2 is not good. Bishop d2 will simply take. And then escape. Yeah. Queen d2. Queen d2 is here the correct move. After queen takes a1, what happens? What now? Queen d2, okay. Now what? Castling? Check. Not good. King e2 again. King e2, the queen can escape, I think. Maybe first knight to c6, the engine suggests here, so queen d4 could be a possibility, but knight to c6. Here you cannot take because we have this one. Rook a1, queen b3. So here's the position. Yeah, bishop b1, very good. Bishop b1 liberates, and there's no counterplay against the potential bishop to b2. So all I'm asking here is that when the knight gets pardon me, not the knight, when the queen comes out very early, and when you see there is this tension going on, you have to recognize this situation as a pattern. So there is something going on. This is the critical moment of the game. In this moment you will lose the game immediately, or you win the game immediately, or you have to play calm moves. So here you saw Rashid Nejmedinov played an outstanding, I think, trap here, because Rashid Nejmedinov was a great tactician. He was an outstanding attacker, and he can see things like this. But all I'm asking for you to do is, when the queen comes out like this, bishop, so here when the queen is there, of course you have to see this tactics, but after bishop to c3, now when the queen comes, you have to find now good ways. Now it's the time. You will lose the game or you will win the game. That's the only thing. That's the point of this. So the queen is the only developed piece. The knight can be maybe included into the game, but you see now many pieces of blacks haven't played so far. White has here, I think, a better coordination with the pieces. So okay. And here is, I think, a great example how you can get greedy in chess. Getting greedy in chess is really bad. Sometimes we grab a pawn, and sometimes we grab a pawn, but with the queen, and then we want to grab another pawn. We get greedy, we get too secure. It's also something about chess psychology. We have to, when we grab a pawn, for instance, we have talked about this poison pawns. Poison pawns are something like b7, b2, g7, g2. These are these 4 pawns. Whenever you take them, whenever you take out one of these pawns, get the hell out of there. Get with your queen out of there. You have to find new opportunities. You have to first retreat, first regroup, or if you can calculate. But sometimes you see we get too distracted. We want to be sort of a pawn grabber, and here it was a Ruy Lopez. We have the classical variation: knight to f6, knight takes e5. Here knight to e4. We have queen to e1 or queen to e2 would be the possibility, because we cannot play rook to e1. Our f2 pawn is hanging. Still nothing has changed. Here we have this position, queen to e4. It's still main line. Nothing went wrong here for white and black so far. Still main line. Here the queen is hanging. So if you take, for instance, here queen takes e7, then bishop to e7, and it's an equal game. So that's why here, after the move knight to c6, queen to g4, black tried here an aggressive way, queen to g7, we have bishop to d4, counter-attacking, and now queen to g3, we have h6. And what should we do now? So we have talked about development, king security, developing minor pieces, getting rooks on open files, playing actively, playing with the same piece once in the opening if possible. Here it's a sharp line, of course. But let's see now best next move. At least one good move. There are many of them, but we can play. So just give me one good move here. Because we are lacking in development. Yeah, we can play maybe knight to c3, bishop to f4, I don't know, maybe rook to d1, I think would be a possibility. But here white played queen to c7, and you see now the bishop gets simply trapped with bishop to the queen gets trapped by bishop to e5. So be careful, be careful. Yeah, bishop to f4, knight c3, very good. And so you see now, sometimes we get too greedy, I think. White has a pawn, has grabbed a pawn, has maybe some problems in the future on the g file. But when you grab the pawn, retreat with the queen, find new ways to activate your pieces. You have an extra pawn. Go into an endgame, go maybe into an endgame where we have the extra pawn. Nothing will dramatically change, I think. But first we have to regroup. Here, white lost the game immediately, resigned here. So, okay, here is a great example of middle game tactics. Find out the best next move here for black. Let's be aggressive here. Okay. Let's be aggressive here from black's perspective. Very good. Knight to g4. So everything is pretty much forced. So after knight to g4, if you take with the pawn, you have lost the knight. White's pawn structure is messed up. Okay, here queen g4 was played. What to do now? What to do now? we're down a piece, so knight e5, we have knight e5, f5. I think that knight e5 could be met with queen to g3. So bishop takes h4, queen to h4, knight to f3 doesn't work because still we have the defender. Yeah, f5. f5 is the most aggressive. Okay, here e takes f5 was played. We have e takes f5. Now the only square for the queen here is queen to h4. But let's first answer the question. Is this a natural square for the queen, or is this a square where the queen could be endangered? That's the question. So is this a natural, a normal, a healthy, good square for the queen, or is this a queen, is this a square where the queen could be endangered, where the queen could get attacked? So that's the question. Yeah, bad square. We have here by Yomonger, bad square. Because the bishop is taking, the light for bishop on c2 is taking, yeah, the queen doesn't have good activity. So queen could get attacked, very, very, very good. a6, b5. Okay, it's the possibility. Is there a faster way? a6, b5 is... When we're attacking side, we've talked about we want to be active. We want to threaten immediately. Immediately. It's not the same if we're attacking in 2 moves or in 1 move. Let's see. If you want to attack with the pawn, it's okay. Then maybe b5 is immediately a move. I'm not sure if that's a good move. Queen to b5, you know. Rook from a to b8. Queen a4 again. But again... So, but at least our next move has to be dangerous. a6, I think, is a little bit too slow. We'll simply play bishop to b1, b5, and then queen c2. No? And maybe it's still a bad position, of course, for but let's see, after a6, yeah, knight g6 here. Okay, we get rid first of, yeah, we have the move bishop to e8. It threatens immediately. Still the knight is hanging. The knight cannot be traded for a bishop, for the bishop here, and we're threatening. Which move is the next best move? Which move are we threatening here? What is the threat? What is the threat? What is black threatening? Black is threatening knight d4, or even slightly better, knight to a4. It takes also out these 2 squares. So the only way, how can black prevent this idea? Let's find at least some kind of a move here. Yeah, it's something like that. Probably queen will have to be given up for 2 minor pieces, but knight f4, yeah, and knight to d4 is also possibility. Both things are correct, but I think with the knight to f4 idea we don't have to give up. So queen b3 loses the knight, and the only way here to maybe prevent this idea of knight a4 is knight g2 with queen to f4, but then we'll come, I think, to the part of knight to d4. Yeah, so then c takes d4, and then maybe bishop to f4. This will be the line. So unfortunately here white played knight to f3, and we had this move knight to a5, and white resigned. And it's incredible that in this game white was Tigran Petrosyan got his queen trapped like this, which is really incredible. One of the best chess players in history, one of the best defenders in chess history, got outplayed like this by Alexander Kotov. So as we said, there is this great activity against the queen. Very, very beautiful attack here by Kotov. It was game over. So this is the example that we've talked about, queen to a3, which was sent by Joshua. And here is also, now it's not about the subject of queen traps. This is the game that 3xk sent me. So here we have a, yeah, okay, 3 pieces maybe for the queen is not bad, but it's an obvious bad game here, I think, for white. So here is an example that you sent me to, and we'll come now to the basic strategies. We'll talk about these problems many times. The problem is, let's talk about this position. What problems does black have here? And I've sorted this moment out because it's very important. I think these are mistakes from a strategical point of view that we're making many times. So yeah, here it's Maroczy bind setup, sort of. So what's here the problem? Yeah, d6 backward pawn, very good, and maybe a weak d5 square. But yeah, his pieces are passive. So again, we talked about this basic principles. So avoid to play with the same piece twice. Activate first all of your pieces. And it's not that this move is losing, but here 3xk, that was the game that was sent me. He after move queen to c7, he played the move knight to d5, and in my opinion this move gives black at least the opportunity to battle, you know, because when we have the backward pawn, then it's really time to play against the backward pawn. Rook to d1, maybe rook to e1, getting first all of our pieces in the attack. And that's, I think, a mistake that many beginners make immediately. Knight to d5 was played, and it helped out basically now black, because he gave up his passive bishop. After e takes d5, he managed to regroup. Queen to d7, bishop to d3. Still white is better, it's not the point about that, but here h3, g6, you see the game is not so easy, and after trades of pieces the position is more simplified. And okay, still slightly better for white, but you don't have to trade pieces. When we're on the active side, we want to occupy the weak squares, we want to occupy we want to attack, of course, this weaknesses. And now I think rook to d1 is perfectly fine. You don't have to here complicate things. Rook d1, just building a setup. Rook, maybe rook to d2, rook to d1, maybe even bishop to f4, attacking simply the weak d6, and we'll find good ways now to to be active, more active. Even knight to b5 is a possibility then to further attack this pawn. So as I said, at least we have to recognize these patterns. This is a backward pawn. This backward pawn needs an attack. When you want to play, maybe if you want to play on outposts, it's of course a weak square too, the weak square on d5. But let me go to board editor. Let's see if I can make that happen. Let's see, board editor. Let's go back. Can we make a board editor out of this position? Let me see. Can I make it just the pawn structure? Can we make, yeah, board, it's working. So what we would love to do, if you want, for instance, to occupy here the weak d5 square, then it's time to get rid of all of the defenders of d5. Then d5 would be a possibility. So the main strategy would be something like getting rid of this bishop, getting rid of this knight, maybe trade it off for these two pieces, and now when there's no defender of this square, then it would be time, because you don't want to improve his pawn structure. So that would be, I think, the main strategical goal here, to go into these positions, you know, to get your, of course it's a fork, black cannot even defend it, but even if the queen would be here on d7, maybe the queen gets d7, but still this knight would be a monster knight, and there's no way to kick away from that square. So in my opinion, this was a too rushed knight to d5 move. So let's go here again to the knight to d5 move. Here it is still better position for white. I'm not saying it's losing here, because even after trades of pawns, after trades of pieces, still we have space advantage, we have the bishop pair, and this should be a much better game for white. But as I said, from a strategical point of view, I think it's a bad move. You have to recognize this pattern: backward pawn, backward pawn. If you want to occupy the weak square, get rid of all of the defenders of that weak square first, then it's time to occupy that square. So okay, what did we have here? Here we had this game. So yeah, and here we have a very nice attack by one of my viewers. He sent me a cool game. I think he played very active. It's again 3xk. So you see, our friend 3xk, he can be really good. He's an attacker. He really finds nice attacking opportunities. I watched now many of his games. He sent me, I think, about 10 games, and all of his games are really cool. He's playing active, but sometimes we don't have to complicate things. This is already a sort of a tactical battle, but I think if you would have recognized this possibility to go for the backward pawn, to go then afterwards maybe for the weak square, that a great attacker and a great tactician like him, he could have really a nice and pleasant game. So these patterns we have to recognize. So we have analyzed this bishop's possibilities, this knight's possibilities, this queen's possibilities, all of that we have analyzed so far in this series, and we'll talk about backward pawns and weak square positions, weak pawn positions, how to attack them, how to improve the position of minor pieces. But as a pattern so far, you should really recognize the backward pawn strategy. It's simple as that. When the game becomes like that, you have to make something out of it. So here b6, we have rook to b1. You see how great he attacks. He simply plays on open files, queen to b3 here, bishop to d2. He gave up even here a piece just for the activity. Knight to b6, very cool. There are no many better moves, but it's not another problem he played here. As I said, an outstanding attack. Queen to rook to b1, very nice, and now queen to c6. You see, that's a game of the same man. You know, he has a great attacking full sort of. He has a feeling for the attack. Just this basic strategy, I would really improve, because they're coming to us many times in chess games, so you should really recognize the common pawn structures and what's going on in the game. So okay, here I've also prepared now two examples of attacking play. We'll also make when is it time to. So let's find now the best next move. Yeah, we could make a use out of chess team on Lichess. That would be awesome. So let's find now a good move here for black. We have a position in black is obviously a little bit has problems with his king in the center, but what we can notice about this position is that black's king still can be improved in one move. It's a very good choice, I think, because the next move is a very good choice, because black can play in castling whenever he wants to, because if the rook or maybe we get in danger somehow, then the king can castle. So the king so far is not in danger. So yeah, we could make a team, but we have to arrange some things about that. We have to. But okay, but the problem for me is that I really, when I say, for instance, we'll play on Thursday, I cannot be really precise when it comes to online playing. When I'm playing, I cannot have a new time to make that happen. So sometimes I don't have time, and I would not love to maybe say to you I will play and then I don't play. So this time 1:30 for me fits simply for my schedule to make this stream, so that's why. But we'll make something with out of chess team. We'll try to make something happen, I promise, but we'll see in the not now, in the near future, but we'll make something happen for sure. So okay, we have here a great move by David Keller. So that's a great move. You see, when we are sharp here, g5, because we have this nice battery. Yeah, you have to watch all of my videos then, and you get then a test. Did you watch that video? What was the critical move? So and then if you correct, then you can join the team. I'm just kidding. No, we'll make a team for sure, but not now, in the near future. I have now this schedule that I want to make, and this will be, I think, I'm trying to get at least 4 times a week this lesson, so it has to be prepared. So I think this is more important than me just playing with you some blitz bullet games. So I think these are okay. G5, very good move. So you see, it gives us now great attacking possibilities. Then I cannot take, of course, because of this very powerful battery. So the h pawn has to take. We cannot take with the queen, of course. And now rook to g8, rook to e3, and now we have castling, rook to e3. But now let's find now the best next attacking move. Yeah, if you get your answer wrong, there's no way to get into the team. And you get your finger slapped like this. So, what's now the next best attacking move? Yeah, I've talked. I told you I'm now just when I'm streaming, I playing on Twitch. I use now this Twitch account to play. So maybe you can join me on Twitch. So knight g5, rook g5. So it okay here. Rook to g5 is I think more aggressive because it gives now the g file attack. It gives us here rook to e1. So how to attack now further this position? We have talked about this, getting all pieces in the attack. So every piece has to participate, evaluating which piece is good, which piece needs improvement. Very important stuff. So what now? Yeah, rook from d to g8, including all of our pieces in the attack. These are really main principles of attacking chess, getting every piece into the attack. So here g3. Okay, let's find ourselves now new. Yeah, I'm not sure which one, David. So let's find now a new attacking move. Knight f4 could be a possibility. Let's see. Knight to f4. Then what happens? Queen to c6. Here. Okay, so we want to make that happen. So we get the queen out of the game. Yeah, rook. One of these rooks I think needs to get to g6. If queen to h7 happens. Yeah, knight g5. Queen h2. Is knight to f3 now possible? Let's see. Yeah, rook to h6. It's also great. Then doubling up. So these are the threats. So that's why here queen to h4 was played. Let's find now again a new attacking move. Yeah, rook g3 would be dangerous, I think. It's now very important to recognize the best next attacking move. That's always when we have a good setup. Let's search for new attacking possibilities. So what now? Yeah, knight g5 anyway. Very good. So we're attacking. We're b3. Knight takes f3 is a possibility. Let's search now for new attack. There is one rule. It's not a rule, but it's a principle. So when you have your pieces almost on the best squares on the board, probably the best next move is a pawn move. Probably. Not always, but at least consider the option of a pawn move. It wasn't played in the game. It's also a nice line of But first we're asking ourselves the question, can a piece be improved? Rook h6, very good. Rook h6, but also f5 is a great possibility to maybe somehow crack here with f4, knight to h3 ideas. But I just wanted to consider the option because there is really this principle when you have really your pieces so active and you cannot really improve them. Here it's of course an improvement. Rook to h6 is much more powerful and it's much more dangerous. But for instance, if this move rook to h6 wouldn't work, you should also sometimes consider the pawn move. A pawn can really break sometimes the position, can really be sort of a bomb that simply jumps into the position and everything is exposed because your piece activity is already good, so you have to use also your pawn. So b3, here rook to h6 will split, queen to b4. Okay, let's see now the best next move. There are many great moves, but knight h3, let's see. King f1, it gives maybe white an opportunity to escape. It's a good move. It's not that this move is losing, but they are better. Okay. a5, okay, it's an attacking move. Queen c4 forces the trades of queens. We don't like that. We don't like that because we want to stay with our queens on the board. Knight takes f3, okay. Knight takes f3. What now? Yeah, queen sack. Very good. Queen takes f3, rook to f3, bishop to f3. Maybe queen c4, a check can be played, but now we just have to take care of, we don't get our king. So, and there's no escape. But you realized, you see, every move from this move that David Keller spotted in the beginning. Here, let's go to the critical. B5, G5. Here takes. Rook comes into the game. Up. Sorry. Yeah, it's a hyper accelerated Dragon Sicilian defense. Okay, here. So, very nice activity. You see, with every move, we had new attacking possibilities. Rook to h6. So, here. Very nice. So, knight takes f3. The game was played differently, but actually you saw the better line, which is really incredible. So you played better than the grandmaster. Okay, here is one example. It's let me see, what's that? Where's my here? Okay. Okay. Here is an example of thinking out of the box, sort of. Here is an example of pure chess brilliancy. So, and this is a lesson of, I've prepared these two examples. I think they're very cool. They're not meaning the object, the problems of queens. I think we have talked about the queens enough. So here is an example that gives us, I think, really something to think about when we talk about chess, because it simply thinking out of possibilities. And it's of course a gameplay by Paul Murphy. Paul Murphy was a sick attacker. So when we, very good, David. Okay, when we're on the attacking side, when we feel that we're on the attacking side, it's very important to even consider the move that seems so bad, you know. We have to consider every move. We have to even consider the move queen takes h2. I'm hoping what I'm trying to say. So we have to consider even this move. We have to even consider queen to f1, you know, but we have to at least consider the option of that. That's how it's, as I said, it's a little bit changing your way of thinking in chess. Even rook to queen takes e3 should be your possibility. After queen to a3, maybe here. Okay, f takes e3. Okay, it's not working. After rook to f2, bishop to f2. What now? Let's play like Paul Murphy. Look how Paul does it. Again, think of every possible move. I think that's how Paul Murphy played the game. Mikhail Tal, for instance, was like he, and for instance, in now not so distant past, maybe Vasily Ivanchuk. These guys are thinking all the time to sacrifice something. So when they're playing, they want to just sacrifice something. Okay, let's see possible continuation. Bishop to a3. What now? I play queen to e3. Bishop to b2. King d2. So rook b2. Queen takes h3. Bishop to h3. Maybe again king to d2. And yeah, Terrell, yeah. So as I said, when we are on the attacking side, we have to consider every move. We have to again consider queen to h2, queen to f3 should be also an option that we have to calculate, but it's easy to calculate because we see that queen a3. Yeah, Paul was the man. Paul was really, you know, there's no queen to e3 anymore to lock. After bishop to h3, the line that helps white out is to move queen to e3. He has room to escape, so it's a different story now. So queen to a3. What to do? King to b1 is not a possibility. You get checkmated. So white has to play the move c3. You know, but that was, as I said, here it's also very important to think about every possible move. That's something that you have to change in your games. So now queen to a2 with threats of queen to a1 and rook to rook to b2. So here black tried b4. What now? Okay, Mike. Have a nice workout. Okay, let's now attack further this position. Yeah, queen a1 here. What now? Bishop f5. Let's see. Rook takes a1. So we have to create a new check to keep him occupied. King b2. What now? Yeah, you meant queen a4 probably, not queen h4. Yeah, okay. We have this. Okay, what now? So see, we have talked about this queens like a problem, but you see the queen is long range piece. The queen shifted here from what now? B takes, bishop takes b4, very good. C takes b4, rook b4. Here, queen b4. What now? What now? Let's find now the best next move. What now? Okay, bishop to f5 is a possibility with e3 ideas. So, but there is one sharper line. It's much more aggressive. We want to threaten, as I said, at least. Yeah, pawn e3. Very good. e3, bishop to e3, then bishop to f5. Here, rook to d3. And now it was over, queen to c4. Here, queen to a2. Here in this position, white resigned. If you move the king, then you lose the rook. If you protect, then you lose this one, and still it's a winning. So as I said, it's very important sometimes to consider even the move that seems that it's bad. These are really the main principles of attacking chess. So here bishop to e3, rook to b8, and now rook to f2. Very, very nice. So, and then queen to a3. This is simply Paul Murphy style. So Paul Murphy, the sharpest of attackers. So very, very nice, beautiful chess game. So this will be it for today. As I said, please send me your games more and more. and I saw many times now you sending me really great games of yours. That's, as I said in also in my previous videos, it's not the point about that. I want you really to send me these games that went wrong for you. They are more important. For instance, this game in which Joshua should have played queen to a3. So yeah, what if he doesn't take every other move? The only way here to protect is, let's see, c4, then queen to a2. Again, we have some troubles here. Even bishop to a3, I think, is then a possibility. Here again, bishop to f5, e3, then delivering checkmate on b1. Every line is, and yeah, King's Gambit and Fred Lever is perfectly fine, but actually this will thing I think separate a little bit my channel from other channels, and on this channel I'm not going to suggest you some, I think, in my opinion, bad openings. So we're not studying on my channel the King's Gambit. We're not studying this brutal attacks, this most sharp lines. In my opinion, it's very important to study basic principles, and then you can play whatever you want, because it's simply my style. The King's Gambit is a dubious opening, and I would never recommend you to play dubious openings, for instance, like the Grob opening or similar stuff. So you can play e4, d4, and I've talked about in my previous videos what are good openings, in what you can choose. Yeah, but still, even this is attacking chess. There is correct attacks, and there are really two sharp attacks, which I would really recommend you to avoid in the first place. There is time when you get sharper and sharper, and you will maybe can you be able to play the King's Gambit. But so far this is also beginner's license course sort of, and King's Indian is okay, but as I said, I'm playing the King's Indian, but the Nimzo Indian is much more powerful and much better. I think I'm shifting to Nimzo Indian too in the near future, because I had now, I think, better success with it. Even so, it fits simply more for me, because I'm a more positional player, and that's why I'll try it out. So this will be it for today. I'm really glad that you joined in such high number. We had around 35 viewers in one particular moment, which is really great, which is really incredible. And yeah, I'm not going to show you tricks, and if there are tricks, like David said, I'm gonna write again the email, and when I'm going to send you some trick games, then they have to be accurate tricks, you know. Let me see. So here's my email. I written it down, and as I said, when there are tricks in openings, they have to be accurate. For instance, there are traps, but the problem about traps is when the trap is going wrong, what kind of a position do you get? If you get a bad position and your trap didn't work, then it's a bad trap. So here I'm not going to show you bad traps. I'm going to show you traps that work, and if they don't work, if the opponent doesn't fall for that, then you can go still into your normal position. So yeah, Nimzo Bogo Indian is perfectly fine, like Devin said, perfectly fine. You can study it, and you have, I think, in the beginning at least, then you can change maybe to some King's Indians, maybe to some Benonis, which are, the Benoni, for instance, is not so good. I think it's a problem. Yeah, it's really practical, and you can play the Nimzo Indian from White's perspective. You can play the Nimzo Lars. We can play, let's flip the board. We can play knight to f3 here, maybe, I don't know, d5. We can play here e3. Opponent goes c4. So we waiting the knight here to come to c6. Then we're gonna play like in the reversed Nimzo Indian setups. We're waiting this knight to come. If he goes here something like I don't know, normal knight to f6, or we can play here immediately. For instance, b3. We're waiting again like in the Bogo Indian, but reversed. Knight to f6 maybe. Here we have bishop to b2. We're controlling knight to c6, and maybe now it would be time to play bishop to b5, a6, bishop takes, and go into normal ideas of the Nimzo. Knight to e5, f4, castling, d3, knight to d2, knight to f3. You know, you can use it even as white, and you don't have to maybe study so much theory. You can play from white's perspective. This, the only thing that you have to find maybe is to find good responses for against e4. But I've created a series. For those who don't know, I've created a series: the Nimzo Indian, King's Indian, this hyper accelerated Dragon Sicilian defense series, and the London system. So you can, and I've created also the d4 series. I'm showing you the lines that I use as a d4 player, so you can have even a flexibility, you know. You can really have like twice preparation. You can surprise if your opponent, for instance, prepares for you against the London, then they can shift over and maybe play normal d4 tier. So that's what I do, because there was a tournament that I recently played. I played a tournament, and it was the family tournament. So it was a family tournament. My brother played, my two nephews played, Antonio, the famous Agadmator, played, my father played, and my sister and my uncle from Austria played. So it was a family tournament. And what I don't like about this kind of tournaments is that everyone is preparing actually for me. You know, they're preparing, they know what I'm going to play, and I played the whole tournament with different openings and with different sidelines of openings, which I usually don't use, and I managed to get a 7-0 result, so I crushed all of them. So I have to have also some kind of a different weapon, because if someone prepares for you, you have to have also something different. So that's what grandmasters do all the time. They're having, I don't know, 5 responses against d4. So, or they're having maybe they're playing the Nimzo Indian, but they change, I don't know, the line in move 11 or something, you know. So they're changing the line. You can change the opening, and you can change the line in order to surprise your opponent. I think Agadmator's anti-London system is a good video, and I liked also the counter video by Gotham, but I should counter that. So and then counter, so everyone should counter that, and we can study the anti-London system. So, but we'll come to that part on my series, how to beat the anti-London system. And I think it's also, but it's a good video by Antonio, and he should have, I wish him that he makes more content like that. He can really explain openings also good, so it's perfectly fine. I like that video very much. I myself still am avoiding to play the London, you know, because it's something too simplified for me. I can play much sharper lines because it's simple part of my style too. Although I like to get some kind of a disposition of the London system, but still. Okay, cool. So I'm not sure. I've created about 21 or 22 videos about the London system. Maybe you can check them out, the board too. I'm not saying I probably London system videos by Eric Rosen are great. I didn't watch them. And I've created that for you, that for some viewers that maybe don't have money to buy DVDs or buy books. I've created a series to be for everyone free, so that's simply what I did. Yeah, the Vienna game is sharp as hell. So the Vienna game is, and I like to play the Vienna with black, and I like to play the Vienna also as white. The Vienna is we can study a little bit the Vienna. You mean the Vienna Gambit, or I like this one. Okay, 6, knight to f3, knight to f6, knight to c3, and now d takes c4, the Vienna variation of the Queen's Gambit declined. It's actually a delayed accepted, but there is one point about this opening, and e3 would be a little bit too passive, because then you risk a4, and if you take, black can have a couple of tempi against your, but then if you play a4, then black will play c5, and you take, you're left with an isolated pawn, and then black is trying this one, knight to c6, knight to b4, and then he's cementing his position. He's creating this powerful blockade around the square d5, and the problem for you is that you have already, with this move a6, he provoked you to play the move a4 and to leave some spaces behind, you know. After a move a6, you play a4, and he provoked you to play, and now the b4 is there. So I see this knight to b4 will happen with knight to d5, and I think it's a good position for black. Black is battling against this isolated pawn, so yeah, the hyper accelerated dragon Sicilian defense is, I think, a good response against e4 at least. Yeah, the reti can be very good. It's a very flexible opening. You can have, and I like this Zuckertort. I should make maybe a series about that from white. So it's d4. I don't know, maybe whatever what black does. Maybe here f6 and e3. So I don't know, maybe something like d5, then b3. And then we play something like bishop to d3, bishop to b2, knight to f3, knight to e5, knight to d2 setups, cementing the position around the square e5, then get queen to f3, queen to h3. We have analyzed one game in Zuckertort in my previous video by one of my viewers. So these are, we could study maybe the Zuckertort setup. It's, I think, a very, very pragmatic idea. But you can have really great flexibility with any opening. So as I said, but don't play this King's Gambit lines. They're very attractive to watch, of course. They're very, very beautiful when you see maybe a queen sacrifice in a King's Gambit, but still, believe me, a great opponent, when he meets this opening, he'll crush you. So first things first. So there is a time when you will study things, there's time when you study something else. So anyway, this is it for today. Thank you again for joining. I think today is what, Thursday. Maybe we can do a new lesson on Saturday. So I have the schedule on my work. I'm working the shifts 12 hours, and then I'm trying, when I work the night shift, then we can make again the series in 1:30 p.m. So I'll try not to make this series every 2 days, which will be a fast tempo, I think. So please invite your friends, invite someone if anyone wants to study. And even if a beginner now comes to my stream, he can still ask me some questions from the beginning. I will answer his questions too. It's not a problem, but I still have to keep up with this new things which I wanted to show you. I think we have solved now at least some kind of problem of the queens. We have talked about when the queen gets out, the queen has to come out with a tempo. When the queen is staying on the starting square. You saw that it's possible. It's possible because the queen has even an activity on the starting square, and hide first with your queen when the position is dynamic, like in the example of Jan Krzysztof Duda. Try to get your first queen secured, improve the position, improve the activity of your other pieces, and then when the position clears, then the queen, as you saw in the great example by Jan Krzysztof Duda, the queen found a way into the game, and here it was a great game by Jan Krzysztof Duda. This was, I think, a beautiful example how the queen shifted all over the board, changed the direction of the attack, and was then afterwards the best piece on the board. So this will be it. As I said, thank you again for joining. We'll see you, I hope, in 2 days. Again, I will announce a couple of hours earlier when we're starting the stream. See you soon, guys, and what to say, of course, chess is the best.